Are we turning into a police state? We have a state governor who is monitoring the menstrual periods of women in his state so he can determine if any of them are illegally having abortions. And we've got Donald Trump talking to a group of police chiefs saying he's going to pour hundreds of millions of dollars of military equipment, war equipment, down on them. He's going to provide it to them for free. This is a dangerous time. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to our channel. Another concern of mine, and stuff is just spilling out all over the place. These stories that are coming out right now is, I was talking to what I mentioned before we hit the break was that we're seeing now Republicans not just being purchased by American oligarchs, which is how it used to be, but we're seeing Republicans also being purchased by foreign oligarchs. And, this should be pretty troubling. I mean, this from Alternet, a piece by Sophia Tesfaye. The headline is GOP Senators Ron Johnson and Marsha Blackburn are tied to Russian money and Trump conspiracy theories. They're not alone. And she notes political action committees for Republican Senators Mitch McConnell, Marco Rubio, and Lindsey Graham reportedly accepted $7.35 million in contributions from a Ukrainian-born oligarch with close ties to Russia during the 2016 election. And then she goes on to point out that Republican Senator John Thune, Republican Senator John Kennedy blocked a Democratic bill to provide funding for states to shore up election security. Now, why would Republicans want individual states not to have secure elections? Ask yourself that. Why? The next day, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican from Tennessee, quietly blocked 3 election security bills for the second time this year. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell, Marco Rubio, and Lindsey Graham got $7.3 million in contributions just from this one oligarch, this one Ukrainian oligarch that we know about. We don't know about the other ones. We don't know who's, Ron Johnson, the Republican from Wisconsin, senator from Wisconsin, actually met with a Ukrainian diplomat for a half hour back in July and came out, saying that the DNC was the one who hacked the DNC in 2016. Don't you know? It's pretty breathtaking. So we've got that. Okay, you've got, and this is leading, in my opinion, frankly, to something like the death of democracy. And then parallel to the death of democracy, what replaces democracy if democracy fails? Oligarchy and strongman oligarchy, like you're seeing right now in Brazil with Bolsonaro, or in the Philippines with Duterte, or in Poland with Duda, or in Hungary with Orban. What happens is these oligarchs or right-wing strongmen supported by oligarchs rise up to power and then hyper-empower their police and basically turn their nations into a police state where they are monitoring their citizens, particularly their vulnerable citizens, particularly people of color, sexual minorities or gender minorities, LGBTQ folks, women, target them, suppress them, and go with your base, that you're supporting, as it were. And now it gets even weirder. This story is just truly, truly breathtaking. It's breaking right now over on Daily Kos. Meteor Blades writing for the Daily Kos staff. The Republican governor of Missouri is a guy by the name of Mike Parsons. Now, you'll recall when Mike Pence was the Republican governor of Indiana, he proposed a law, which I believe got struck down by the courts, that if a woman had a miscarriage, she had to present herself to the police department so that they could determine if that miscarriage was a natural miscarriage or whether it was the result of an abortion, an attempted abortion. And this led to this hysterical thing that we talked about on this program for the better part of a year that it was going on back when Pence was governor of Indiana. This was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was. It was called Periods for Pence. And women all over Indiana were tweeting and texting and writing and calling Governor Pence's office to say, well, I just had my period, so I'm not pregnant, everything's good, don't worry. They were self-reporting their menstrual periods to Governor Pence, Mike Pence, when he was the governor of Indiana, because he had proposed that if women had miscarriages, they should present themselves to the police. Now it turns out Republican Governor Mike Parsons of Missouri put a guy in charge of the state health department by the name of Dr. Randall Williams. And we learned yesterday afternoon, as a result of an article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, that the state health director in Missouri has put together a spreadsheet. I'm quoting from the article. He had created a spreadsheet tracking the menstrual periods of Planned Parenthood clients. Now tell me this isn't like full-blown Handmaid's Tale. The state health director creates a spreadsheet of when women who are clients of Planned Parenthood are having their menstrual periods, so he can determine if any of them become pregnant and if they then later show up at Planned Parenthood to have an abortion. Because in Missouri, they're down to one abortion clinic in the entire state, and so it's really easy to track who goes in and who comes out. He's using the powers of the state to do this. I mean, this is happening in real time. This is happening right now. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, a couple of days ago, was talking to a group of police chiefs in Chicago. The day before yesterday, I believe it was. One of the reporters in Chicago was going to call into the show. It was the day before yesterday, right? It was Monday? Yeah. On Monday, there was this huge anti-Trump protest, and I was like, gee, I wonder, if that's going on nationally. I mean, why is this happening in Chicago? I failed to put two and two together when I got the notice while I was on the air, that the reason why everybody was protesting Trump is because Trump was there in Chicago, speaking to this convention of police chiefs. And the police chief of Chicago refused to go. God bless that person. But what Trump said to the police chiefs should really chill you. I mean, if you think it's creepy to have an individual state monitoring the menstrual periods of women so that they can determine if one of them gets pregnant, so that they can determine if they have an abortion, so they can go after them and prosecute them, if the abortion's beyond the window of, I think, 6 weeks or whatever it is that's allowed in Missouri. Oh, you're having an abortion too late. You're going to go to jail. That's what this guy was doing in Missouri. If you think that's weird, wait until the police all across the United States are turned into stormtroopers. I mean, we've been seeing the slow evolution of this process ever since, I believe it was during the Reagan administration. They rolled out this program, the 1022, 1044, whatever it is. It's a numbered program where surplus military equipment is given to police departments. And suddenly, starting in the 80s and the 90s, and now it's all over the country, police departments are getting we went from one police department in the entire United States having a SWAT team to small towns of 30,000 people having SWAT teams. They're getting all this body armor. I mean, they're getting equipped like it's stuff that was designed for Iraq and Afghanistan. It should not be on our streets. So here's what Donald Trump said in Chicago on Monday. In the coming weeks, Attorney General Barr will announce a new crackdown, which I think is so important in high-crime cities and dangerous rural areas. Now, I deleted a few words there. Well, actually, I'll read the whole thing. In coming weeks, Attorney General Barr will announce a new crackdown on violent crime, which I think is so important, targeting gangs and drug traffickers in high-crime cities and dangerous rural areas. And then he said, let's call it the surge. He went on to say it's going to be very dramatic. And Trump added, quote, you're going to see tremendous results very quickly. And then to expand on that, he says, to help keep you safe, and he's talking to the police chiefs, not the citizens of Chicago. So what do police need to keep them safe? They need half-tracks and high-powered weapons and body armor and stuff like that. So he says, to help keep you safe, I've made $600 million worth of surplus military equipment available to local law enforcement. If you remember, the previous administration didn't want to do that. They didn't want to make you look so tough. They didn't want to make you look like you're a threat, which to a certain extent is right. The Obama administration was trying to encourage police departments to return to community policing, where there's an actual cop on the corner, and you get to know the cop on the corner, and the cops are walking the beat rather than driving around in highly militarized vehicles and, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And Trump is changing all this. So my question, as the governor of Missouri, the Republican governor of Missouri, is tracking women's menstrual periods so that they can spot women who have become pregnant, so they can track how pregnant they are, how many months pregnant they are, if they get an abortion, and if they get an abortion beyond the legal limit that Missouri has passed, they can prosecute them. You've got that going on in Missouri, and now you've got this, you know, Trump telling the police chiefs of America, we're going to give you guys $600 million worth of military equipment. This is not law enforcement equipment. This is military equipment that you can turn on your people, on the people in the towns and cities and rural areas that you are policing. And he got huge applause for this. What the hell is happening to this country?